T.I. shook the hip-hop world when he went after Jay-Z, passing exclusive files to 50 Cent, hoping they'd make it into a documentary after Jay had thrown shade at him. Now, Jay-Z is reportedly furious, plotting some serious payback, and these new revelations could flip the game entirely. Today we're breaking down the full saga, how T.I. and 50 Cent clashed, how those files became a weapon, and why Jay-Z is ready to strike back harder than ever. To get the full picture, we have to rewind to the start, and that chapter begins with a Verzuz battle. T.I. first dropped the idea on the $1 Million Game podcast with Gilly the Kid and Wallow, claiming that he and 50 had agreed on a Verzuz showdown, but 50 allegedly bailed once T.I. made the news public. That moment sparked everything that followed. What was supposed to be a celebration of legendary catalogs turned into the first major rap beef of 2026. Now, T.I. versus 50 Cent on Verzuz wasn't a fresh idea. Back on 50's birthday in 2020, T.I. posted an Instagram video challenging 50 to a 20-song battle. 50 joked, brushing it off as comedy, even referencing that weed Smokey got in Friday, basically saying T.I. wasn't serious, but T.I. kept pushing. In 2021, 50 Cent shut it down completely, saying Verzuz was only relevant during the pandemic. Still, T.I. insisted, let's settle it, see whose catalog reigns supreme, even if 50 wasn't listening. Things went quiet, both moved on. Fast forward to 2026, T.I. prepping what he calls his final album, Kill the King. The promo engine kicked into overdrive, and that's when the beef reignited. In early February, T.I. appeared on Nightcap with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Osino and started rattling 50 Cent again. He claimed 50 was ducking him, repeating on multiple platforms that the two had secretly agreed to the Verzuz, but 50 flipped once it went public. T.I. didn't hold back. He told the $1 Million Game podcast all the details. The plan was about celebrating catalogs, yet 50 allegedly backed out, leaving fans confused and T.I. frustrated. T.I. said it straight. It's like, F all of it. I question your character. Just say no. That line shifted the beef from professional debate to personal, and 50, being 50, didn't respond calmly. He went the Instagram route. After T.I.'s comments, 50 posted an unflattering photo of Tiny, basically warning T.I. to keep his name out of his mouth. That's the pivot. This stops being a Verzuz convo and becomes personal. T.I. didn't just fire back, his whole family got involved. He tweeted with energy and dropped a track called War, which outlets framed as a direct response to 50's trolling in the Tiny post. Then things got dark. 50 Cent posted unflattering pics of Tiny, prompting a savage family response. T.I.'s son King Harris wore a t-shirt with 50's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who tragically died in a fire when 50 was just 8. That moment shocked even the internet. T.I. later admitted he knew it went too far, but by then, the damage was done. By March 2026, T.I. had dropped 4 diss tracks: War, The Right One, Lessons, and What Bully, with his sons King and Damani also firing back. This was no longer a Verzuz debate, this was full-on war. And that's when 50 Cent pulled out his ultimate weapon, the documentary threat. And this wasn't empty posturing. 50 has a track record. His Netflix doc, Sean Combs' The Reckoning, premiered December 2nd, 2025, proving he knows how to make history with these projects. 50 Cent executive produced a 4-episode Netflix documentary series digging into Diddy's alleged criminal history and sexual misconduct. Fifth framed it as giving victims a voice and shining light on decades of controversial behavior. And make no mistake, it was a cultural event. The series included interviews with jurors from Diddy's federal trial, which stemmed from his September 2024 arrest on racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, fraud, and transportation for prostitution charges. This wasn't some gossip blog. It was a full-scale, multi-episode production on the world's biggest streaming platform. In July 2025, Diddy was convicted of 2 counts of transporting someone for prostitution, and by October, sentenced to 50 months at Fort Dix. And 50 Cent made sure the world was watching every moment. He later revealed he had suspected Diddy's alleged behavior for years and had already been planning the documentary before Diddy's September 2024 arrest. When the series finally dropped, it left a massive mark. Millions of viewers remember how 50 Cent's Sean Combs' The Reckoning shook pop culture at the end of 2025. Diddy's camp naturally wasn't thrilled. His rep called it staggering that Netflix handed creative control to 50 Cent, a longtime rival with a personal vendetta who had spent years slandering Diddy. Netflix, however, stood firm, and the public devoured it. Fast forward to March 2026. As T.I. and 50 Cent's beef escalated, Fifth pulled the same playbook. On March 5th, he posted and quickly deleted an Instagram screenshot with the headline, 50 reportedly developing Surviving T.I. and Tiny documentary. The caption was sharp. Remember how quiet I got before the Diddy do? Dame thought I wasn't coming. I hope this doesn't mess up your promo tour. They're going to ask about your 20 sexual assault cases. You might want to talk to a crisis PR person. A threat wrapped in a warning, wrapped in a taunt. And the reference to the Diddy do hit hard. Everyone knew what 50 could do. His Netflix doc had already accelerated Diddy's public downfall. Now he was trying to do the same to T.I. Sources like Star 94.5 report that industry insiders have heard rumors about a G-Unit mogul documentary, potentially titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny. Word is it could resurface old sexual assault allegations, claims involving sex trafficking, drugging, sexual assault, and battery. While none of these allegations have held up in court and a 2024 civil case was dismissed, T.I. and Tiny deny everything, and that's unlikely to change. T.I.'s response? Classic Atlanta confidence. He hasn't fired back musically to the documentary threat, but on Instagram he captioned, "We can go bar for bar, hit for hit, or doc for doc. Either way, all you're going to do is show how much of a fun you is." Even so, the threat shifted the energy. Everyone remembered the Diddy doc, how real it was, how impactful. It came after a long silence, which people misread as backing down. Nobody was taking 50 Cent's words lightly. And here's where Jay-Z enters the story. While 50 Cent was in a public war with T.I., he was also turning his documentary lens toward another heavyweight. In December 2025, Fifth joked on social media about Jay-Z's reaction to not being featured in Sean Combs' The Reckoning. Alongside a deepfake video of Hobbs' face in Lionel Richie's You Are music video, Fifth captioned, "This the message Jay-Z sent me when he realized he's not in the Diddy doc." At first, fans treated it like standard 50 trolling, but things shifted dramatically when the U.S. Department of Justice released over 3 million pages of documents, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images from the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell investigations under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. By January 30, 2026, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announced the DOJ had released a massive batch of materials under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and buried in those files, Jay-Z's name popped up. Specifically, a 2019 unverified hotline tip alleged that back in 1996, Jay allegedly witnessed Harvey Weinstein assault someone at what the accuser claimed was Epstein's Florida mansion. Now, here's the key context. Jay-Z's name doesn't appear in Epstein's flight logs or verified contact lists. What circulated online was an FBI intake report, a tip submitted after Epstein's arrest. The DOJ stressed that these intake calls are unverified public tips. Being mentioned doesn't mean law enforcement investigated him, that he was in Epstein's circle, or that he did anything wrong. Context matters. But 50 Cent didn't. Even so, the threat shifted the energy. Everyone remembered the Diddy doc, how real it was, how impactful. It came after a long silence, which people misread as backing down. Nobody was taking 50 Cent's words lightly. And here's where Jay-Z enters the story. While 50 Cent was in a public war with T.I., he was also turning his documentary lens toward another heavyweight. In December 2025, Fifth joked on social media about Jay-Z's reaction to not being featured in Sean Combs' The Reckoning. Alongside a deepfake video of Hobbs' face in Lionel Richie's You Are music video, Fifth captioned, "This the message Jay-Z sent me when he realized he's not in the Diddy doc." At first, fans treated it like standard 50 trolling, but things shifted dramatically when the U.S. Department of Justice released over 3 million pages of documents, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images from the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell investigations under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. By January 30, 2026, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announced the DOJ had released a massive batch of materials under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and buried in those files, Jay-Z's name popped up. Specifically, a 2019 unverified hotline tip alleged that back in 1996, Jay allegedly witnessed Harvey Weinstein assault someone at what the accuser claimed was Epstein's Florida mansion. Now, here's the key context. Jay-Z's name doesn't appear in Epstein's flight logs or verified contact lists. What circulated online was an FBI intake report, a tip submitted after Epstein's arrest. The DOJ stressed that these intake calls are unverified public tips. Being mentioned doesn't mean law enforcement investigated him, that he was in Epstein's circle, or that he did anything wrong. Context matters, but 50 Cent didn't seem to care. As soon as the name surfaced, 50 Cent took to Instagram with an AI-generated photo of Jay-Z, captioning, "Damn, they got your man Jay in the Epstein files. I gotta do a doc on this shit." Boom. That single post reignited global interest in the newly released Epstein files. On January 31, 2026, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson sent the internet into a frenzy. Hundreds of thousands of interactions, intense scrutiny, and suddenly this wasn't just rapper trolling anymore. Fresh off a successful Diddy documentary and amid a war with T.I., 50 Cent was publicly hinting he might make Jay-Z his next documentary target. This wasn't the first time 50 teased Jay-Z post-Diddy doc. He'd previously posted a cartoonish image of Jay-Z with the caption, "Please stop sending me stuff like this. I'm not going to post it." Classic 50. He drops hints, gauges reactions, and then plays innocent. To understand why this is such a loaded move, you have to know the history between 50 and Jay-Z. Their rivalry goes way back, 1999, the How to Rob era. A young 50 Cent took lyrical shots at nearly every major name, Jay included. As both rose in New York's rap scene, tension built, but it was complicated. They collaborated too. Reebok commercials, a 2007 remix of I Get Money with Jay-Z and Diddy. Business always over personal loyalty. In 2011, 50 Cent summed it up in an MTV News interview. "We don't have those kinds of relationships. We're in the same business. We are not necessarily friends. It's not like we have something against each other to make us enemies. Me and Jay will use each other repeatedly for energy." Transactional. Opportunistic, that's the dynamic. Fast forward, in 2013, Jay-Z acknowledged 50's rise on The Breakfast Club, calling him a force. In 2017, 50 Cent slammed Jay-Z's 44-4 album, calling it golf course music in a deleted Instagram post. Then came the 2022 Super Bowl drama. 50 claimed Jay tried to block him from performing alongside Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige, and Eminem. He said, "They didn't want me there. Mom wouldn't do it without me." The claim suggested Jay-Z, via Roc Nation, used his industry influence to block 50. Suddenly, this was bigger than rap bars. It was about power, influence, and who controls the game. So when the Diddy documentary succeeded and 50 started publicly joking about Jay-Z while hinting at documentaries in every direction, everyone in hip-hop understood the stakes. Even small gestures, like Jay-Z allegedly following 50 Cent's former partner on Instagram, fueled endless speculation about alliances and strategy. One circulating comment claimed Jay-Z and Roc Nation were planning to strike back, but 50 Cent laughed it off. "My momentum makes them all get together." He was saying out loud what everyone was thinking. A coalition of adversaries was forming, and Jay-Z, whether he liked it or not, was being pulled into the drama. Here's the key part. Jay-Z hasn't said a word publicly. That silence is classic Hove. He avoids Instagram spats, trolling, or public back and forths. He operates through lawyers and industry power, not tweets. That's why T.I.'s role is so crucial. T.I. didn't just feud with 50, he created a context where 50 was talking documentaries non-stop about T.I., Tiny, and now even Jay-Z. The more 50 drags people in, the more Jay-Z's name circulates. Add the Epstein files to the mix. Earlier in 2024, Jay-Z faced a $20 million sexual assault lawsuit that was later dropped. The accuser, Jane Doe, stayed anonymous for her safety. The case named both Jay-Z and Diddy. Though dismissed, the allegations were already public. Now, with Epstein files mentioning Jay-Z, even as an unverified tip, 50 Cent had more ammo to keep the narrative alive. So let's put it all together. The simmering rivalry between New York's 50 Cent and Atlanta's self-proclaimed King of the South, T.I., has exploded into rap's biggest beef of 2026. What started as a failed Verzuz proposal spiraled into diss tracks, family involvement, and social media chaos. T.I. and Jay-Z are connected in this saga by one thing: 50 Cent's willingness to weaponize documentaries. The Diddy doc proved the model works. Sean Combs' The Reckoning documented decades of distrust, backed by alleged victim testimony, archival footage, and investigative reporting. Its cultural impact gave 50 Cent a tool far more potent than any diss track. When T.I. pushed the Verzuz angle too hard and the beef went personal, 50 Cent didn't drop a song, he threatened a documentary. Rumors continue to swirl, including claims from Tasha K that 50 is developing a project focusing on alleged drugging and assault tied to T.I. and Tiny. While credible, given 50's track record with Power and other productions, it's still unconfirmed. As for Jay-Z, the documentary tease fits 50 Cent's pattern. Post provocative content, gauge reactions, and then decide whether to follow through. Accusations may be unfounded, but 50 Cent knows how to capitalize. Every post, joke, or threat keeps him center stage. Right now, the question is, who in hip-hop is safe from the 50 Cent documentary treatment? The drama isn't about one statement, it's about the ecosystem of beefs. T.I., Jay-Z, Diddy, and 50 Cent are all connected through decades of shared concerts, business deals, and industry dealings. Lines between conflicts blur by design. When 50 trolls Jay-Z about the Epstein files while feuding with T.I., the narrative overlaps, and the suspense keeps everyone watching. Even past moments show the interconnections. In 2007, T.I. performed with Jay-Z and Kanye at Screamfest, while 50 Cent crashed the stage like a Little Mama moment. These figures are bound together through years of industry, music, and personal relationships. Now, the big question: will any of these documentary threats actually materialize? Hip-hop is watching closely. It's not just whether a documentary exists, it's whether 50 Cent's Combs playbook can be replicated. And one thing is certain, 50 Cent has never backed down from his infamous rap feuds. Even when the other party hasn't done much to fuel the fire, 50 Cent still finds a way to pull them in. Jay-Z hasn't publicly responded, yet 50 dragged Hav and Roc Nation into the mix alongside J. Rule, all while stirring the fallout from Sean Combs' The Reckoning, his Netflix docuseries on Diddy. The bigger picture? 50 Cent is operating on multiple fronts. He's beefing with T.I., threatening a documentary about T.I. and Tiny. At the same time, he's needling Jay-Z over alleged Epstein connections and teasing a documentary there too.
And all of this comes off the back of a wildly successful Diddy doc, proving that when 50 sets his mind to a project, he can actually follow through. Jay-Z's silence speaks volumes. He hasn't responded publicly to 50 Cent, hasn't addressed the Epstein files, and hasn't reacted to the documentary threats. For now, that quiet is the loudest statement in this saga. Whether 50 Cent's documentary threats against T.I. and Jay-Z become real productions or remain social media leverage, one thing is crystal clear: the rules of hip-hop beef have changed. Diss tracks are one thing, but 4-part Netflix documentaries? That's a whole new level. And right now, 50 Cent holds that card. The only question left is, will he play it?